Hey everybody, this is Cadroll Hunter, and today we are going to start a penny hunt and album fill. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel, Cadroll Hunter, and we've got a brand new Lighthouse Vista Canada penny album. This is from 1920 to 2012. That's the year the penny was discontinued, so all the small cents. This is a beautiful album, and we are going to try to fill this up every single spot if we can from our penny hunts. We're going to just use this album as we go forward. Anytime I can get pennies, we're going to see if we can fill a spot in this album and try to make this album as good as we possibly can get it. And the timing is just fantastic to get this album because one of my subscribers, Steven, called me up to say that he came across some bags of pennies. So what these are bank bags. They're Bank of Nova Scotia, you can see on here. However, he actually got these at a TD Bank in southwestern Ontario. So not sure what the story is. We've got two of these. We're going to just start with the one. This is a lot. Each of these is $25 in pennies. So it's the equivalent of a full box. And pennies usually have so much to look at. I usually only do 20 rolls at a time, which is less than half a box because otherwise the videos are too long. So we're going to try to get through this whole bag. I have no idea what we're going to get in here or how these came about to be, because normally pennies are rolled up and come into the bank by customers. And so I'm not sure if somebody dropped a bucket of pennies and if they have a coin counting machine somewhere, but somehow these Scotiabank pennies ended up at a TD Bank. So I really don't know what the deal is. The banks are really supposed to be sending this back to the mint to be melted down. I can see some shiny ones. I see some Americans in there, but I don't know if we're going to get any older ones. I have no idea what to expect. But we got all our stuff here. We got our copper cups. We're going to put all our copper pennies from 1996 and earlier in the copper cups. The copper bullion value is worth more than face value. I've got my magnet, I've got my scale. We'll be looking for varieties, we'll be looking for oldies, who knows, and we're definitely looking for some awesome coins to enter into this album. Let's get started. So we're into that bag, and I think what I'm going to do, because we don't have rolls to unwrap here, I'm probably just going to be grabbing a handful at a time and bringing it onto the mat and then just going through them to see what we've got. And I'm just, each handful, anything that I got, anything that I find that is worth bringing you in for, we will do that. So let's get started. So our first handful is going to have our first find. It's a 1964. It's got some corrosion, but that's our first laureate portrait for the hunt. So we'll put that on the board here as a start, and we'll keep looking. There's another 1964 here, a little bit better condition, but we'll want to do better than that for sure. And speaking of doing better, I thought I'd tell you what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is anything that's sort of shiny, that's the first thing that I'm going to start with. I'm going to start putting them up here in rows by year. So I'll take the best first that look like they're the best and put them in there. And as I find more, hopefully we can upgrade on these ones up here. So there's one from the 70s. It's got a little bit of mint luster. It's more brown than red, but they'll be harder to come by. We've got so many to go through. I'm hoping that we're going to find some really good ones in here. So I'll start with the bright and shiny ones, and then I'll continue to try to upgrade those, and then just look through the rest to see if there are any varieties or older coins, of course. I think I'm into my third handful. We got a 1963. It is another laureate portrait. So we got one of those, and you can see my fingers are filthy. These are really dirty coins. So yep, I might have to take a little break every once in a while to wash the gunk off my hands, but there's definitely gunk on these coins. Same bunch, there's our first 1962. So we got a run in the early 60s. Handful number 4 is going to give us our first miscellaneous find. I have no idea what it is. It's like a little metal clip of some sort, but we'll just toss it aside and we'll keep on going. Got a pretty trashy 1967 with the rock dub, but we'll just check to see if it has any of that doubling that we would see on the obverse legend. I'll have a quick peek. Well, this coin doesn't look any better up close, but I don't see any of that doubling. We would see some of these letters doubled and shifted over to the right, but we're not seeing that. Well, we're guaranteed to fill a spot in the 50s because here is a 1956. This is also Queen Elizabeth. We're hoping we can find some King George VI in here. That would be really cool. Lots of spaces to fill with him on them. I spy with my little eye something that looks like a laureate portrait. Could it be another older one in the 50s, perhaps? And it is. It looks like it's 1959 with some damage, but we don't have a 59 yet, so that'll fill a spot for sure. We're in the next handful, and we've got another 59, so we've got something to choose from here. That's good. I just started looking through another handful, and we're going to have an oldie because I can spy right over here King George VI, his first appearance. What are we going to have? A 1946. That's cool. And you might have seen it just close to that. Georgie was a 1964. Here's another laureate portrait in the pile. That's a 1962. That's our second 62. Just pulled out a fresh handful, and we got something right here. This is going to be another 64, and not great. And most of the coins we're getting aren't great. So the ones you can see up here I've pulled aside, they've got some level of mint luster, a little bit of red anyway. And so, we'll see how we do. These coins are very dirty, this whole bag. There's all sorts of like a fine dirt or dust in here. So we'll see. We might get some good ones, but at least, we can get started with filling some of these spots in the album. And hopefully as we go, we'll see some really beautiful ones to swap in. I think we're getting close to about the halfway point, but I'm bringing you in because we've got another oldie, a 1961. We're about 2/3 of the way through this bag here, I think, anyhow. Still going. We're not finding a lot of great condition pennies, but pennies are always fun to go through anyhow because there are lots of varieties to check for. So things we're doing, of course, I am taking a magnet to all the 2006s that don't have a mint or a composition mark or a Royal Canadian Mint logo. If it's magnetic, it's a low mint variety. There are magnetic and non-magnetic versions of most of the modern pennies as Canada switched composition from copper and was trying out zinc and steel cores. So there are things, a lot of the modern ones, we need to get 2 of them for the album because we've got magnetic and non-magnetic versions. But there's other things to look for. I'm scoping all the 1985s to see if we've got a pointed 5. We haven't found one of those yet. They're hard to come by. We're scoping all our 1979s for the double date. I'll try and see if I can find some things to show you. If we found one of those, it would be really awesome. But there are lots of things to keep us looking pretty closely at pennies. That's why pennies take a long time to go through. And why I usually only do 20 rolls instead of the equivalent of 50. Because it's a pretty big effort, and we often find a lot of cool stuff. Here's something we want to be looking for or looking out for. Here's a 1985. This is the standard blunt 5. This end of the 5 is straight up and down, and the pointed 5 we're looking at actually comes to a point here, and it actually looks a little bit different over here too. So you want to look at all of them closely because if you can find one, if you're fortunate enough to find one in a low mint state, it's a $50 coin. So even in a VF, you're looking at a pretty good score if you just paid a penny for it. We're still making our way through these pennies, and we've got another 1964. This is going to be one of the most common ones you'll find. Over 484 million, so almost 500 million of these were minted. We just need one, just one, in a little bit better condition than this one to make that album awesome. We're going to have another laureate portrait. It's going to be another grungy looking one. This one is a 1962. I've been scoping all the 1979s to see if we'd find any of those double date varieties, and we hadn't found one yet until just about now. And there is a double 9. You can see that sort of line below the 9. That's dye deterioration doubling, really common on 1979s. If I just rotate it around, you'll see it's not a shadow. So that's a cool one. I'll set it aside. It's a 1979 double 9. Got a bit of mint luster on it. It's not perfect, but it's a variety in our hunt, and that's cool. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but I was wondering why these coins are so dirty, and as I scraped out a big handful here, I just felt like I was touching a whole bunch of dirt, and it looks like somebody has thrown a whole half a handful of dirt into this bag. So no wonder these coins are filthy. No wonder we're not getting all sorts of great coins out of here. But nevertheless, we are hunting, and so we are committed, and we're going to do it. Regardless of how dirty our hands get, we are in it for the long haul. So we're going to finish up this bag of pennies and at least see where we stand. Well, in this handful, there it is. We got another from the 50s. So we're going to fill some spots in this album for sure. That's a 1957. It's dirty, but it's not in really worn condition necessarily. Well, sure it is. But that's okay. It's a 1957 penny in this bag of dirt and pennies. Awesome. So this is the last of the pennies out of that bag, and there's a lot of dirty coins here, and there's some debris that's come with it. It looks like some grass or something. But I did see that we've got our oldest Lincoln cent here. This is a 1959D, so we got a 50s Lincoln cent, and this is, of course, is the Lincoln Memorial, the first year Lincoln Memorial. So not a wheat cent. I was hoping we might find one of those in here, but we got something about as close as we could have gotten. Okay, so we finished that bag of pennies. I want to be careful. It's still full of dirt in there. And check out our mat. Look at the carnage here. It is just filthy. I don't know what that is. Some kind of a buckle or something. We got a little cat sticker. You always need one of those. And I'm just going to tidy up. Here's the zinc and steel cents that were in the discard pile. I'm going to try and tidy this up, but we didn't get a lot of great coins for this album. Even the more recent ones, we can see that some are shinier, particularly the 09s, 10s, and 11s, but these were dirty coins and we didn't find a lot. I'm sure we can do a lot better. What I think we're going to do is we'll review what we got, but our finds in the 50s and 60s, I think we'll add those to the album. We will look and see if there's anything really good in here. We didn't get any crazy varieties or anything like that. So making a bit of an executive decision, I don't think we want to put a bunch of like really mediocre coins from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s in the album when I think we could do a whole lot better in the roles that I normally have. So I'll tidy up and we'll see. I might change my mind, but I think this will make it seem like we've finished the album when we really didn't get anything great. So I'll be back in a sec. All right, so to recap, we got about not quite half of that bag was copper. Here's a few cups right here. And I've already rolled up the Canadian steel and zinc sensors, 25 rolls right here, but we've got more steel and zinc over on the board over here. So probably a few more rolls considering we've got a big pile of US as well. So we did pretty well with copper. I'll put the exact weight of copper on the screen here after I calculated it all out because I'm going to want to add all of our finds and the rest of our discards from these piles over here. But to look at the finds that we did get, we got a 1946. So that was the one King George VI we got, and that's definitely going on the album. Along with a 56, a 57, a couple of 59s. We'll pick the best for the album. And in the Laureate Portrait, 61, a couple 62s, 63s, a stack of 64s. Again, we'll pick the best to go on the album. We did get 55 cents US in copper, so that's pretty cool, plus that whole big pile of zinc cents as well. And then we had started to separate all of these out, basically from 1965 over here through the 60s, then the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, up until the end of the road here, 2011. We didn't get any 2012s in here. So, but these coins are not the best. I might just pick out a few, but honestly, I'm not sure if any of these are album worthy. That 2005 looks pretty good. We might put that in there. I'm going to grab the album. I'm going to slot some things in and we'll just take a look and see where we head next. Okay, so I've looked through everything that we found and I've slotted some coins on the album, but I have made a decision. So you'll see I've got a 1946. So we've got something on the first page, which is great. But looking back at some of these more modern pennies, even the bright and shiny, quote unquote, bright and shiny newer ones, they're just not worthy of the album. I know we can do a whole lot better than these and decided let's make it just a little bit more challenging. We want to find a really good variety, particularly the newer ones. All those steel and zinc cents, we're bound to find in really good condition. These ones just, it's not a good start to the album. So I want to apologize for the little bit of a false start, but I know we can do better than this. But we're not going home empty-handed. We did get that 46 in here on the first page, so that's good. On the second page, I did slot in the 56, the 57. Those are not coins that we would find in every hunt anyhow. The 59, and all of the early 60s Laureate portraits we didn't actually get. Oh, we did. We didn't get a 60. But we got 61, 62, 63, 64, and I know we can do better than all of these too. We can get some really significant improvements. I did slot in the 65 small beads blunt 5. It's got a little bit of luster on it, a little bit of red, mostly brown, of course, but I didn't put anything in beyond that. Now, as I was looking through the album, something occurred to me as I was looking through. We've got some spots for some varieties. You can see the 85, blunt 5, pointed 5. And there's some even ones that will be hard to find. That the W minted coins, those were in Winnipeg, 99 or 98 and 2000, and a 2003 WP, which I've never found. But this coin does not actually have space for all of the varieties. So look at the 2006 to 2012 logo. Each of these years has a zinc and a steel variety, and there's no space for that. We've got a handful of extra spaces we can use for those, but I did grab another page for this album. If we find some varieties that aren't in this book, we've got a whole extra page here that we can put these in. And if you want to see what this is, I kind of cheated a little bit. It's a page from the 70s and from a different album, and I've just put it in backwards. So we can use this for things that we find that aren't really accounted for in the album. We certainly need to make space for the magnetic and non-magnetic varieties, not just the hard to come by ones, just the common ones, like the 2011, 2012. There's one of each. We want to make sure we got them in the album. So that is our start to our penny hunt and album fill. I hope you enjoyed that. I know we can do better. I want to thank you so much for joining me today watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a like. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, Catarrhal Hunter, please do that. I would really appreciate it. The sponsors of today's video are Lighthouse Canada and the Charlton Press. Lighthouse Canada is the leading supplier of high-quality numismatic supplies in Canada, and the Charlton Press is the leading publisher of coin and paper money catalogs and price guides for Canadian collectors. Go check out their online stores today and use the exclusive discount code CRH20 for 20% off all your purchases. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.